You spent countless hours in the garage with your dad. Now investing in that old car and working on it with your son reminds you of him. And his legacy lives on. Fund your passion with a low-interest home equity line of credit from Bank of Blue Valley.
Hi, Scott.
Oh,
How are you?
Oh, just playing with pink dinosaurs. My daughter turned 2 yesterday. How's your day going?
I saw that on Facebook. I loved it. 2 is such a fun age. That might be one of my favorites. My day's good. Let's talk about last week. I want to dive all in. Okay, so everybody watching, Scott, at the last minute, I was having some health stuff go on. I said, Scott, you're going to co-host with Will. Cool? He said, absolutely, because he's always the yes friend. Always, always, always. And so we jumped on here real quick in the pre-show, and I said, the one rule I need you to remember is do not forget to talk to the people over here so that they say, hi, yes, hello. And the whole time he forgot to talk to you guys. So this week we got to triple down on the comments. So let us know who you are. Let us know where you're watching us from, and let us know how much you love our guest today, because he is one of my absolute favorite people in the entire world. Like, hands down, one of my absolute favorite. I have my top 5 favorite people, and this person is in it, but I'm very excited. But I do have a question for you, Scott. Scott.
I'm 10% in. I'm on pins and needles.
Okay, I thought you were frozen. I was like, Scott.
I have so many different directions to take this.
So many different directions. I have one really important question. It's Fat Tuesday. So are you actually drinking today? Nice. Okay.
I actually am going to a speakeasy, but I will not be partaking. I'm cooking dinner for my children afterwards. But on Thursdays, I'll celebrate Fat Tuesday. Are you drinking?
I'm not drinking yet, but I will drink today. But more importantly, are you giving anything up?
No, I don't. I need to. I'm Catholic, so I'm not. But are you giving anything up? It's a great question.
But I'm thinking about taking up something, and that's working out. I'm thinking about working out for Lent, right? I don't want to give up stuff because, then I would go opposite with it. So I'm just making this public announcement. All right, here's the thing. Today is a short show. Usually on our short shows, we have Will from Bank of Blue Valley co-hosting with us, but we had 2 back-to-back, and so we get to co-host this one together today.
It couldn't have worked out better. Obviously, you and I are very bullish and excited about our guest, and so I think people tune in to see us, but today it's not even close, not even by a long shot. They'll be here to see the guest.
Well, and we've already got people commenting, but when you have your privacy settings, this is what we see. So somebody is,
but they're drinking.
But they're drinking. So I love that. And I'm going to go ahead and apologize in case you hear my dogs. We're getting a fence, so they are closed in a room and really mad at me right now. Let's let our guest on. Are you excited? Let me get to my.
Ooh, we get the music, getting fancy, world-class podcast show here.
All right, here we go. Going as fast.
Here we go.
I don't feel like that's exciting for again.
Oh, you want to hear the beat?
This is much better.
This is from Powell in the Plaza days.
Is this one better for our guest? I think this is a lot better. So if you do not know our guest, where are you hiding? What rock are you under? If you don't know our guest, you're following him immediately. He is one of our favorite people in the entire world. He has his hands in everything, and he's making a difference in everybody's lives. I'm completely convinced of it. I've never walked into a room where they didn't say, hey, you know Randy Powell, and not everyone in that room that knew him said, love him. Today, our guest is Randy Powell. Fading out.
Woo!
Woo!
I didn't know what kind of walk-up song I would get today. That's a good walk-up song. So
royalty-free walk-up songs.
Yeah, that's right.
Really good ones. How are you?
Awesome. About you?
I'm so excited you're here. Like, I have been geeked out about it all week.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, Aaron, I got a question. So when you walked into a room, a lot of other people do that. They go, "Do you know Randy Powell?" And everyone lights up. Do you remember that moment for you, and then how you got together?
Yeah, so I didn't know Randy Powell, and we were at a lunch, and he knew who I was, and he came up to me and he said, "Hey, I know you from LinkedIn," and I was like, "Cool." And then he's like, "Can we go to breakfast?" I was like, "Yeah." Like, I just thought he was really cool. We were at this lunch. It was a little overwhelming for me anyways. And we went to breakfast, I think like 2 weeks later. And ever since then, I'm like, how did I not know who you were? Like, I told my friends, I'm like, I met some guy named Randy. And they're like, Randy Powell? I was like, yeah. And so by the time I went to breakfast with them, I was like, okay, well, how the heck did I not know you? How about you? What do you remember?
So Randy and I think it was just through a bunch of mutual friends, but I'm sidetracked because I wanted to say what I prepared to say. Is I was trying to think to myself, a lot of people think of a Terry Dunn or a Ewing Kaufman, and we were shocked actually through the sponsor of our show, kind of learned a lot more about a mentor of yours, and Randy's a mentor of both of ours, is Dr. Michelle Robin. And I think of Peter Maluk and Dr. Michelle Robin and Randy Powell in that light of they just give to others and they expect nothing in return. It's truly, truly unique. Something I like to be giving, but you don't touch those folks because they sincerely look at every interaction of how they can help other people. And I just think that's unique that I feel honored that Randy's on the show today and that he's always helping others. But the thing I always tell about people is you need to make sure you come prepared with 8 to 10 questions when you talk to Randy, because he'll talk about you. And so, Randy, are you originally from Kansas City? And did you ever go to the East Coast to work? I'm trying to trick you into giving your background a little bit more than you usually do. So are you from Kansas City? And did you ever work on the East Coast?
Not originally. And what Aaron didn't tell you is that first time she called everybody afterwards and said, "This guy's creep stalking me on LinkedIn."
It's hard to avoid you and Aaron on LinkedIn because you guys are so prevalent in a great way.
But no, Kansas City is the longest I've been anywhere. So it is home, and love it here. Love the people. It's an awesome place to be, but spent time in Georgia, went to high school in Central Florida in a little farm town. Moved around a lot as a kid, but here's home. So love it here. Plan to be here forever.
And so after undergraduate, you don't typically have a normal CEO route. From undergraduate, where do your career opportunities take you and what were you doing?
Well, I didn't have awesome grades because I wasn't terribly focused or knew what I was doing. And so it took a while to figure out the whole college thing. And so I got an accounting degree. I think that was probably just alphabetically. I hit that early, and said, let's do that. That sounds fun. But grades wouldn't get me in a public accounting environment. And so I got an internship and then got on with Stanley Tools as a cost accountant and worked my way around through their accounting department. And then in the meantime, met people with Deloitte and talked my way back into Deloitte, opposite of how people normally do it, because normally they'll go in and get that public accounting experience and then go private. And I had done a few years of private, but knew I really wanted that public accounting experience. And it was an awesome experience. I learned a ton. I mean, you just get a crash course in a wide variety of businesses when you go into that environment. If you go into it to just immerse yourself in it and soak it up, you can learn a lot about a lot of different business models. And it was awesome. I was on, the floor of the New York Stock Exchange auditing, trading machines. And I'm thinking, this is awesome. I'm just a poor country kid and I'm in the stock exchange counting stuff. Most people would have thought it was boring. And to me, it was like really cool. So then I was recruited, had the opportunity then to come to Kansas City because a public company, SPX, had acquired the Marley cooling business. It's been here 100 years. And they were building out an accounting team. And I had a lot of technical accounting experience around construction and manufacturing. And Kansas sounded cool because I was getting really tired of Atlanta traffic. And so it's like, let's go someplace quieter. Kansas looked quiet on the Wizard of Oz, so let's go check it out. And it was an awesome experience, and been glad to be here from the day I walked into the state.
So when you started out at the company, where do you go within the organization to then where you are today? And then Aaron's going to get to ask all the really cool, fun questions. But I really think it's important to know how, as a leader, you truly do work every part of the job, and you try to empathize and understand where everyone's going. So you start out at this publicly traded company that has a 100-year history in Kansas City. And where do you go throughout the organization to where you are today?
I came into a controller role and had, you guys have heard Harry Campbell talk many times about curiosity. I had bucket loads of curiosity. So I didn't like to sit in my office and just look at spreadsheets. I like to go out and crawl all over construction projects and understand them. I wanted to see what we did, because I always thought as an accountant, if I knew it and understood it, I could do a better job and I could convey our results better. And so in that controller role, I was traveling around the world, looking at construction sites and power plant sites and commercial building sites, and just soaking all that up. And after a few years of different roles of that, we acquired some businesses in China and in Europe, and I went over and taught them how to do U.S. accounting, and that was really fun. And so I was getting a lot of really neat accounting experiences. And we had a segment president that I'd built a relationship with over the years, and he came in and said, "I think you've been on more projects than I have." And I was like, "Yeah, it's kind of fun. I enjoy it." And he's like, "I think you could run the company someday. We ought to get you ready for that." And I said, "Well, that's a cool idea." And he said, "I want you to go run construction." And I said, "I don't know what I'm doing. That's a really dumb idea. We're in a town with Black and Veatch and Kiewit and Burns and Mac, and you could hire some really brilliant people who know a lot more than me." And he said, "Yeah, I know, but I want you to do it anyways." And so I was just shoved out of the nest and into a leadership role with a whole bunch of people that knew more about what they were doing than me. And I knew from then on, I would never have any technical skills. I better just learn how to motivate and inspire people and get them to do cool things, because I wouldn't be able to walk into a room anymore and say, you need to do this and this and this. I would walk in and say, let's get pumped up and excited and do something cool. And so that really became my job from there on out. So I worked my way up, then ran construction. That was a great experience, took over sales and project management, and eventually had the opportunity to run the company for a few years, and several different companies that we folded in under it. So ultimately had about 4 different companies roll up under that umbrella.
And then you step out and you go on an entrepreneurial journey before you're lured back into running a company. So what was that entrepreneurial journey that you're still on, owning other companies? And then what are you doing today?
It was, it was something that became a very passionate idea in my mind, because I was lucky, I had this really cool team, and I could go draw stuff on a napkin and hand it to them, and they would design it and sell it. And it was lucky enough to get like 5 patents for crazy ideas of things I drew on napkins, where I would be sitting in a restaurant and have an idea.
That's why we ask you questions. This comes out.
And say, wow, I think we could do this. And I'd draw it on a napkin and take it back. And then people would look at it and they would say, well, that's kind of stupid, but it might work. And so they would go do the good stuff. Then they would go do all their engineering and technical things to it, and they would turn them into real ideas, and they would sell. And so people would say, well, you're this cowboy and you're this gambler and you're this risk taker. And I was kind of like, it wasn't my money. It was this big company's money. I didn't really gamble anything other than if I screwed up, I might get fired. And I wasn't really worried about that. I figured somebody would hire me anyways. I was a nice enough person. So it's like, if I get fired, I'll just go apply somewhere else. So I didn't really feel like I was gambling. And people would ask, would you do this if it was your own money? And I would always say, heck yeah, I would. Well, it was something that would gnaw at me. Would I really do this if it was my money? And I just became convinced over about a 3-year period that I need to leave and go out and prove that I got the guts to go be an entrepreneur and not just be in a large company spending somebody else's money.
And then you bought a company, and then
bought a company the month before COVID. Put that in your notes. Don't do that.
And tell them what kind of company.
It's it's Heartland Print and Design. Aaron came up with the brand and logo and everything for me. So that is like, as soon as I bought it, I'm like, this needs a better brand. Called my buddy. She put her team on it and they did a great job. It was awesome. So if you need logos and brands and all that stuff, she's incredible and her team's incredible. They're really great to work with. And so they put all that together. Bought the business a month before COVID, and the business adapted. The team there's done a good job of adapting and dealing with a changing environment. Particularly 2020 was really challenging for them because it's mostly business to business type work. And if all your customers aren't going out and seeing their customers, they aren't printing out brochures and hats and jackets and all the things that they would tend to do. So that's been a fun experience. I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I picked that business up. It's got a great little presence here in Lewisburg where I live. And so it's easy to just swing by after work and check on things. In the meantime, people were calling once you're out on the street, people hear that you're out on the street. And so people would call and say, hey, will you come run this business for me? And there were different ones that I looked at and considered different opportunities, and this United Rotary Brush opportunity came along. It was a business that's been here in Kansas City a long time, great industrial manufacturing business, which had a lot of my background's been industrial type manufacturing. It had just been recently acquired, and the new owners wanted to re-energize it and get a team built and get focused back on growth. And so it fit all the things that I love to do. So jumped in and been doing that for the past year too.
Well, thank you for going into detail, and thank you, Aaron, for letting me ask questions. And I love that Aaron trusts me. Aaron runs the whole show and asks the questions, but on occasion I was like, the story needs to come out, because if not, Randy will ask us questions. So I promise.
No, you're fine. I'm going to pivot into that. But first, I just want to show some of these comments. United Rotary Brush Corporation is a fascinating company. Great to see Randy's guiding the ship from Toby. And David says, Randy Powell, one of the great KC leaders, which I think we all agree with. So that wants to pivot this into this. Kind of what Scott's saying, what all these guys are saying is you own a business, you're running a company, but you also do something every Thursday, which you started during, I think, lockdown, or if not right after. It's been going on for quite a while. And you did it just because you wanted to help people. You kind of talk about what you do every Thursday morning.
Well, when COVID hit, I was used to, as you guys know, having a lot of breakfasts and lunches, and that's how I get out and get a lot of great lessons from folks and learn about what all they're doing, and just inspired by that to go hear other people's entrepreneurial journey. And then when COVID hit in March and I was confined here to the basement, I was depressed for a couple of weeks. Like, I can't go have coffee. I can't go have lunch. Can't go see anyone. And so I was calling around, and folks were scared. If you remember at that time, your businesses were closing. People were like, I don't know what's going to happen. Don't know how I'll make payroll. Don't know how we'll get through this. And I'm like, well, we're resilient. We're tough. We'll figure it out. I've interviewed people that went through the Depression and went through World War II, and those were pretty bad things. And so I think if they made it through that, we'll just get together and we'll talk and we'll get through this. And so it was just this idea to bring folks on and let someone share their story, some inspiring message of perseverance and grit and resilience and entrepreneurship. In fact, I think guest number one was Aaron. Actually, if I go back and look, I think Aaron was guest number one. Scott's somewhere in the first 20, I believe. Scott and Bob Berg came on and talked about building.
That was nuts, and I didn't talk during that. I was incredibly embarrassed to even be on that show. That's crazy.
But it's been really fun and a meaningful experience. I learned something every week, still bringing people together. I'm surprised people still show up now in year 3 and continue to show up, but it's something where I get inspired just hearing people talk about the things they've done in their life and the challenges they've faced and how they've pushed on and the lessons they've learned. And I was talking to somebody yesterday that storytelling mindset to me. I can just take those things. I may never go through exactly what they went through of surviving the Holocaust or surviving World War II or coming here from another country in Africa and dealing with all of the challenges they dealt with. But I can understand their resilience and their grit and their perseverance. And so I can wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to go work hard today and do something because that person did something. And I got no excuse to sit back and be lazy. I got to get up and work harder.
Okay, so what do you call? So I don't think we have enough details. So if people want to tune in, they know how to tune in to some of these incredible stories you're telling. So what do you call this? Where will people find this? All of that.
Lessons in Leadership. It's on all your podcast sites as Leadership with Randy. And there's also my website has all the videos, leadershipwithrandy.com. They're also on YouTube, so they're all linked to YouTube. But if you want to catch the audio, which a lot of people, tend to want to do when they're driving or things like that, the audio is all like on Spotify and iTunes and such. Leadership with Randy.
I have a cup around here somewhere with it on there, but I should have had it ready. Sorry. I can see it. It's just I'm not going to get up again.
That is a very good comment that we whiffed on.
Yeah.
We try to bring cups on the show because we have Bank of Blue Valley.
Yeah.
Man, good thinking, Aaron.
I have a good cup. Yeah, I have a cup. It's displayed in my office, Randy.
Awesome.
So, okay, look, Joel says, great to hear your perspective. So we've got about 9 minutes left. So I want us to do some rapid fire here because you are such a you are a wealth of knowledge. And we have a lot of people that watch this show that are just kind of at the beginning stages of running a company or they're moving into leadership roles. So I'm going to ask some questions and Scott, jump in with one-line questions, not your whole story questions, just like short one-lines, and we'll call it rapid fire. It'll just be new. We're just going to try it right now because I think Randy has so much knowledge. So my first thing is, what do you think the most important trait of leading a company, of being that leader of a company, is to have?
To be able to connect with people, to be able to see the value and help them see the value in what they do. People don't want to waste their day anymore in a meaningless job. They want to feel like what their company does makes a difference in the community. They want to feel like their role in that company makes a difference, both in the company and in the community. They want a sense of purpose. And so you need to be able to connect with people and help tie their sense of purpose to your organization's sense of purpose so you can create engagement and create a place where people want to be.
Top 3 things you look for when you hire.
Experiences. I'll ask people a lot about, what's the best boss you ever had? What's the worst boss you ever had? Because I want to know what kind of environment you like to be in. Do you want to be micromanaged or do you want to be free range? And so I'm kind of a free range person. And so I don't want to have to sit there and look at you. Work from home was great for me. There's so many old style bosses that I got to be able to see you and know that you're working today. If I don't trust you, then me seeing you isn't going to build trust. I want to trust you because I trust you. And I know that you're bought into the vision and the mission and you're trying to do what we all want to do collectively to be successful. And so I want to build those relationships with people and understand how they like to work, because if they're in an environment where they thrive in being able to go be creative and be innovative and do things on their own, I'm going to like working with them more than if I have to watch them and tell them, here's the 10 things you need to do today.
When you're looking to move into a new company as a leader, like you did, what is a red flag you should look for when interviewing for companies? What is a red flag you should be aware of and be like, maybe that's not the company for me?
I would go scour LinkedIn and see how many people have been there, how often they change, how often there's churn. We got so many tools available now. It's really crazy to walk into an environment and not know more things than you can ever talk about in an interview. You should already have a whole lot figured out about, boy, there's a lot of churn here. You've had a lot of people change. What's going on? It might be great. It might be a positive story that this is a launching pad for careers, of people are coming in and getting great experiences and they're going off and doing awesome things. But it might be that they hate it And so I want to look for those signs. How long have people, the reverse, if you got a bunch of people been there for 30 or 40 years and have never changed, it may be stale. You may find yourself not challenged. So I want to look at, what people are doing with their careers there, how often they come in and go out, and how often they move up. And does it look like a place that would challenge me? And I'd wake up at 2 a.m. with some idea that I got to go write down. And at 4:30 in the morning, I'm excited to go hit the day running. If it's waking up at 6:30 and then hitting the snooze and then hitting the snooze and then, oh crap, I got to go to work. Don't do that to yourself. Find something you can be geeked out about and go do every day.
The quick tip for everyone knows people that you have LinkedIn recruiter license. They can actually find via a LinkedIn recruiter license average tenure of an employee, and then even go down to the segment of the company, and they can turn it around really quickly. But that's great advice. There's such a talent on the war on talent right now. How are you being able to recruit and find people for your business? Because you hire across all different lines, professional, and then also people that you're working to find different skills.
It's not been a huge struggle for me, but Kansas City is very much a town where people do business with people they know or people they know. And so same thing with hiring in Kansas City. It's really important to get out there and meet as many people as possible, because so many referrals come about in Kansas City, because I could call either you guys and say, I'm looking for somebody to do this. And you'd both give me 10 names today of folks, and that I could trust. And so you already walk into the conversation with a certain amount of accrued trust, because you put your reputation on the line to refer this person. And so you're going to make sure that who you refer is a quality person, and so they just bring our relationship with them. And so I think the more you can get out and know folks, the easier it gets both for you to hire and to be hired.
I love that. So it's funny that you were never technically a salesperson, right? You were an accountant, you were a controller, you were all the things. Yeah, I always see you as probably would have been one of the best sales guys out there because of how you connect with people. I know we have a lot of salespeople that watch this show. What is a tip on how you get all those lunches, all those coffees, and you network so well? What's a tip in meeting new people?
Whether it's sales or building relationships, networking, you need to be genuinely interested in others. I've had this conversation probably 3 times in the past week with people. If you're going to go out and hard sell, and you see a lot of people who do it. Hey, I'm your best friend on LinkedIn. Let's connect. And within 15 seconds, here's the sales pitch. That people sniff out that inauthenticity. You need to go engage with people, whether you're selling or whether you're building a network, genuinely interested in what can I learn from you? What can I hear about you, learn from you? I want to hear your story. If you do that, selling just comes along organically. It always was for me. I would travel around with our salespeople and I'd say, what's going on with that customer? And they'd say, well, they're not doing anything right now. I'm like, that's an awesome time to go see them, because if they were buying something, all the sharks would be circling. You wouldn't be able to get an audience. Go see them when they're doing nothing, because now I can find out what their kids like to do and where they've lived and what's their favorite sport, or, do they like to ski or hike or whatever. Learn about things that help you build a relationship. I can't tell you how many big orders came about 4 or 5 or 6 years later, where you'd seen somebody, built that relationship, and then 7 years later, they contact you like, I got this huge problem and you're the only person in the country I know and I trust. Could you get your team here? And those things would just happen organically because you'd already taken the time to build the real trust relationship.
Yeah, I got to ask a lot of questions. So Aaron, I wanted to make sure that you're getting to close out the show, but I have to, because I want everyone watching the show, if they ever get the opportunity to genuinely get to know Randy, that they want to serve and help him, he will talk about how he can serve and help you, which makes him so amazing for Kansas City. So really want to make sure everyone got those details out, kind of like Aaron helping design the logo, or you helping design things on a napkin and then giving it to your engineering staff. I think those are comments that people may not have known if we wouldn't have dove into it. So Aaron, what do you got to close it out?
Okay, Randy, I don't know if you've caught this, but we're no longer asking the dumb icebreaker questions I don't like. We're asking these sports questions now. Do you fancy yourself a Kansas City sports guy?
Yeah, I think so. Been here so long. That's the majority of what I follow.
Okay, well then let me ask you. I'll ask you a football. Do you like football or baseball better? Which one are you better at?
Baseball.
Okay. To what team, Scott? You let Randy answer first, and then in the comments you guys answer. To what team did the Royals trade David Cohn in 1994, ending his second stint in Kansas City?
Oh, good grief. He went to the Mets, but I don't know if that was that time. That was so long ago. I guess I'll go with the Mets.
Scott?
Either Randy or I are right. Yankees.
Neither one of you guys are right. I totally would have got this right. Just kidding. The Toronto Blue Jays on his second.
Wow.
I forgot that.
Kansas City native, though. He went to Rockhurst High School.
Look, you learned so much on this show. We learned about leadership. We learned about sports.
I'll never forget that the rest of my life now.
Yeah, take that, Joe Goldberg.
Well, and it's funny because you're such good buddies with Bill Goldberg. Randy, we cannot thank you enough for coming. Oh, look, Toby. So we're on a 20-second delay. So I think that Toby probably got it right.
He got it. He gets the win today. Toby gets the win.
Well, we have 4 people on. The questions come in before everybody's done. So we got to work on that for the one-person show. Randy, thank you so much for coming on. We are so both honored just to be your friends and that you said yes and all the things. Thank you to Bank of Blue Valley. And if you want to connect with Randy, probably LinkedIn's the best place, right, Randy?
Yep.
Okay. Connect with Randy on LinkedIn. Follow him. Know him. He's the best. We'll see you next week, same time, same place. Thanks.